Welcome to this webinar introducing CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. My name is Klaus Vossen. I'm working as Senior Product Manager at Corel, and I will show you the newest edition of Corel's Technical Illustration and Technical Communication suite of products. For those who know the Technical Suite product from Corel, you will notice that we are introducing a new name to that product, CorelDRAW Technical Suite. This is the next version of what some of you probably know as Corel Designer Technical Suite from the past. Corel Designer hasn't disappeared, but as I will show you, we are integrating, including a lot of CorelDRAW applications that those of you who are familiar with CorelDRAW products will know very well. So it does make a lot of sense for us and hopefully for you as well to attach the CorelDRAW name to this product. So what is CorelDRAW Technical Suite? It's a combination of what some of you may know as the technical drawing tools of Corel Designer and the power for graphic design tools of CorelDRAW and the CorelDRAW Graphic Suite applications. I will show you in more detail what this means and what this is all about. I would like to start with outlining who is using this suite of applications, and there are various areas, various industries that we see the Technical Suite product being used in. So let's start with the majority of users from a sheer number of users that we see for this suite of applications, the what we call technical graphics users. In a lot of different industries, in enterprises and also medium-sized companies, you find CorelDRAW Technical Suite, or previously Corel Designer Technical Suite, being used as a technical-oriented graphics software package, not necessarily with a high degree of professional use or requirements for a very high level of functionality, but as a user in one of these industries that you read here on the right, you will be concerned with repurposing technical data, technical templates, CAD files, things like that. And for editing this kind of files, you need a technical-oriented tool set, not necessarily all the tools that a technical illustrator needs in his daily business, but when creating charts, diagrams, and materials like that, you will want to have access to technical features that can handle the technical files, the CAD files, for example, that you use as your input, as your source files. For those users, especially that come from a more creative side of graphics applications, there is a new option that I will explain in more detail a little later on, as you may be familiar or may already be using CorelDRAW Graphic Suite. And for CorelDRAW Graphic Suite users, we now have a package available that adds the technical power of the CorelDRAW Technical Suite, what makes CorelDRAW Technical Suite different from CorelDRAW Graphic Suite, so that you don't need to license a complete new package while you already have parts of that solution available with your CorelDRAW Graphic Suite. More on that a little later on. As other user segments, areas that this toolset is being used in, I want to name technical illustrators. That's somewhat the classical space that the Corel Designer Technical Suite was very successful in the past already. And of course, CorelDRAW Technical Suite continues the focus on delivering tools and features for being a complete solution for technical illustrators in manufacturing industries, in telecom, architecture, engineering, and constructions. I will show a few samples from that area as well, and other industries, as you can read here on the right. Then we want to highlight a specific segment, which is really a set of special requirements that users in discrete manufacturing industries have. In addition to what a technical illustrator in any of these industries will need, in discrete manufacturing you have a requirement for repurposing 3D files that come from the design department for creating the production-ready design. And of course, it's a great benefit if you, for creating technical documentation, technical communication pieces, can use that data, these 3D designs, without any conversion or any other colleagues and teams or processes involved. So there is a special tool called XPL Studio 3D CAD Corel Edition. That's a new technology that Corel integrates, and with that XPL Studio 3D CAD Corel Edition, we offer an add-on to CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 that covers this connection to 3D CAD native design data from high-end systems such as CATIA, PTC, SolidWorks, what else? Autodesk Inventor, the Siemens PLM solutions tool, the NX tool, and many other file formats and systems that are supported with that add-on. A little more details on that later on. Today we want to focus on what is in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. There is also a component for repurposing 3D files included with the CorelDRAW Technical Suite in a similar way as it was with Corel Designer Technical Suite X5 before. But there is a lot new with the X6 version of the CorelDRAW Technical Suite, and that's what I want to show you now. We will offer a separate webinar later on, so stay tuned for that to cover the special functionality and options and capabilities of that XPL Studio 3D CAD Corel Edition add-on. So we will not focus too much on that in today's session. CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, as presented now, is used in very different workflows. It is used across industries, in different industries, but there are common themes and common steps we see in the workflows of all these users, and I hope you find yourself in this workflow, so we try to be generic here. In most cases, you start not from a blank sheet from scratch, but you have some data that you can use, and that's the first focus, the first theme of CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, with enhancements and new tools that help accessing all the legacy data, everything that you can use as source for your technical communication creation, and that you can access all sorts of files, and that you can find all the relevant content quickly, and don't need to spend time on locating, identifying the sources that you need for efficiently starting a project. Next step in the generic workflow that we call out here is then the real authoring step. That's the project phase, or the step in the workflow where the Corel Designer application then takes the majority of the application in that step as technical illustration application for creating vector illustrations with all the technical features that I will show you at least a few of in the next 30 minutes. As a third step in the workflow, you will want to, or you will need to, publish what you have created. And there is a lot of different standards depending on the industry you're working in, also depending on the region you're working in. And CorelDRAW Technical Suite is as strong as with accessing files from all kinds of sources. We also provide a strong support for industry standards for various areas of standards and norms, and you can see here in that small list of file formats, that's just a few to highlight these standard file formats that you will require for outputting your work and publishing to further steps in the workflow. In the whole workflow, there is a lot of efficiency that you can gain by having the right tools for creating consistent layout, consistent formatting, consistent look and feel of your communication pieces. So that's another key pillar of what we have done with the CorelDRAW Technical Suite tool, with developing the X6 version of that solution, to provide tools that help you maintain style and creating consistent documents within projects or across projects, so that you make sure everything is looking right and you don't need to, again, spend time on keeping that consistency, maintaining consistency in your documents. So I will show you more details on all these steps, and as an underlying theme in all of that workflow steps, there is of course always the theme of having a high performance, creating documents, working with speed and efficiency. And as you can see from that icons on the right, there's quite a few things that we have done to help on that topic as well, to gain efficiency, to create and provide a more powerful, higher performance application set with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. So let's get into a few more details, and I will use that workflow that I have just outlined to guide through the through certain highlights that I want to, or certain features that I want to highlight in the application. Let's start with that first step in the workflow, accessing technical design assets. I mentioned CorelDRAW Technical Suite, as CorelDRAW Graphics Suite is also known for that, is very strong in file format support. So we have updated and enhanced file format support for import and export capabilities with the Corel Designer application, also with all the other applications within the CorelDRAW Technical Suite. As you can see, we are supporting the latest AutoCAD file formats. That's the DWG file format from AutoCAD 2013, used in the 2014 version in the same way. Adobe file formats, Creative Suite 6 are supported, and a lot more. We do have a component included to digitize, to trace plans, blueprints, scanned images of legacy documents. That's the Corel PowerTrace X6 that is included with the Corel Designer application and with the CorelDRAW application as well. As a real new feature, the Corel Connect application has been enhanced quite significantly. For those who are using Corel Designer Technical Suite X5 or CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X5, you have seen the Corel Connect application already. That's the first thing I want to show in the application. So I'm using Corel Designer already for presenting these slides. Now this is the standard UI of the vector illustration application Corel Designer. And let me start by opening that Corel Connect application. So I started from within my authoring toolset, Corel Designer. And the Corel Connect application is being used for finding, selecting content, selecting assets for your technical projects. You have a lot of content with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. There is all the CorelDRAW Graphics Suite content included, so you can also access creative pieces. But we do also have a full set of symbols with more than 4,000 symbols from various technical areas that you can access within a document, or you use Corel Connect to find with search capabilities and things like that. You can search online portals like iStock Photo. You can also, new with the X6 version, search websites and use imagery from websites for your projects in case you have source files on a website that you are allowed to use. Of course, that's up to you to stick with the intellectual property rights there. Okay, so I want to use files from my current projects folder, and I can use trays in Corel Designer or CorelDRAW in any of the authoring applications that are included. You see I have a tray open here with 2 files already loaded into that tray in my authoring application. Now I want to add some more stuff, but not necessarily in that project, so that belongs to a different project. What I can do now is to create more than one tray with Corel Connect X6. I have created a new tray, named it Project 2, and then I can select other files from here that belong to that project or that should be used for that project. So let me drag a few, well, not randomly, but it's in fact different things here. Anyway, I drag them in here, and now I close Connect so that you see my authoring application Corel Designer again, and that's where I can then use those files. So you see I have a great large preview, and I can instantly import these components, these graphic elements into my projects to work on them. In this case, it's complete files, so you will probably not merge them, but you can use your tray also to find projects and then open them from here, from a tray, to work on these files. So let me close that again. So I only minimized it, so I have access to it at any time I want to see this. Let's move back to the full screen quickly, as this is much more readable. Let's continue with the workflow. So accessing content, finding content is one thing. Being able to access and repurpose any kind of source files is the second very relevant area that you need to look into when working with technical source files. One increasingly important source, especially for manufacturing businesses or for technical documentation, technical illustration in context of manufacturing, is 3D files. So all manufacturing designs pretty much are done in 3D nowadays, and why not using these files for processes like technical documentation authoring? And yeah, the files are there, and you should be able to use it instead of having to ask a manufacturing design department guy to provide any somewhat compatible file format for you to use. So with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, we integrate XVL technology from the company Lattice. So that's a new technology partner for Corel. And the XVL technology is really great for 3D visualization authoring, and the real benefit or the unique value of the Lattice XVL technology is that the XVL file format is extremely high compressed. So that means the file size when you compare a 3D assembly from a CAD application to what the XBL file representation has, it goes up to 95% reduction of the file size. So, no, sorry, it was 99.5%. So less than 1% of the original file size is left, and that, of course, means you can easily share these files as 3D visualizations, and that also offers options as the new insert 3D functionality. As with Corel Designer X6, you can now use 3D files in your illustrations. That's a completely new thing that I will show you in a minute. Let me start by showing you the XBL Studio 3D Corel Edition application, which is integrated with the CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. So that's not an extra module, that's an integrated component that you license with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. There is an add-on component that comes on top that adds a lot of features, especially for the discrete manufacturing industries and the workflows in there and the file formats that are used in that area. But for those users who want to repurpose 3D files from DWG, U3D, 3D Studio, 3ds, and other file formats, there is an integrated component with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, and I'm going to show you this now. Let me open up a different file so that I have some space I can import 3D into. So let's use that template page, and I want to import a 3D file. I do that by using the 3D import menu item in Corel Designer. And with that, I launch XBL Studio 3D Corel Edition. For those who are familiar with Corel Designer Technical Suite X5, we do have a 3D import component integrated with that as well. That's the Right Hemisphere Deep Exploration product. In CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, we now introduce this new XBL technology with the benefits of that high file compression, for example. Another benefit for those users who have seen the X5 product, we have come to a much simplified UI for those users who are using the integrated basic level component for handling 3D files such as DWG or 3ds. So as you can see here, the UI is much cleaner, more reduced, and so we try to make it more simple to access 3D files here and not include too many UI items that may only confuse you when doing the steps that I want to show you now. So you can import a number of different file formats here, as you can see. With the optional add-on, this list is getting a lot longer with all the native file format support that I had listed or named previously. So let's take the integrated component level and open the 3D file. This is not a really big or complex file, but you see it loads very fast. So even bigger, larger files, large assembly files, especially with the add-on, you will see when you try this out, it loads very fast. And now, as a technical illustrator, you have a 3D application on your PC, so you can analyze the 3D models, so you can rotate the views, of course, zoom in, zoom out, things like that. You can specify the key isometric views, which are the common visualization method for technical illustration. You can also use perspective views. So, for example, let's use that snapshot. So that's no, it's not a perspective view. Let's use a different one. Sorry. That's obviously a perspective view. So you can create camera views that have specific angles and all that. What you can do as well in the integrated XVL Studio 3D Corel Edition is to create cross-sections. So you can create more advanced views of your assembly, or even parts of the assembly. As you can see here on the left, you have an assembly tree view, so you can see all the parts and sub-parts, sub-assemblies, and can of course turn them on and off for display here, as you see with that magnet 1, which is currently turned off. So cross-sections I can do as well, and the final goal, or the ultimate goal of that application really is to create a view that you want to generate an illustration from. So for that I use an isometric view that I had created before and have stored here with the file. Saving that as XVL asset compresses that file to a maximum, which means a minimum file size, and that's for repurposing that 3D in the next step then as well. So what I want to do now with that view is sending that to the vector illustration application Corel Designer. I can do a couple of settings here. It's intentionally not that complex when you export, so you have this extraction limit which sets the detail level. I want to have a high detail level, so edges that are in the same plane to each other with 180 degrees angle, which means it is flat. That should display a line, so I use that setting and then send to my Corel Designer application. It's now processing, converting this view into a line illustration, which takes a few seconds depending on the detail level and what you have in there. You can see with that chain and all that details, there is quite a bit to render and to calculate. So with Corel Designer X6 and the CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, you can now specify scaling, and with previous versions we had that import that places the imported 3D sourced illustration in the center of the page, and then you need to pick it up, to select it, and maybe reposition, rescale again. So that's now very easy, as you can use the snap items, for example, the snap points, and place it where you want and the way you want. So that's how quickly that can be. And you can see here in that zoom level already, there is a certain simplification in that file. So it's not a wireframe model. It is an illustration which uses these simplification methods to really generate a highly detailed in that part, a highly detailed view, but still a very readable and clearly understandable illustration. Let's continue in the interest of time, as there is a lot more that I want to show you. So that's very similar to what was possible already with the Corel Designer Technical Suite X5 with the 3D module integrated in that previous version. There's a few things that are maybe smoother, and with the reduced UI you will be more efficient, faster in doing those steps, as I did now. But a really new thing with Corel Designer X6 I want to show you now is the option to insert 3D, not as an illustration, but as an interactive 3D in your illustration file in your Corel Designer page. So I use that same file. As you can see here, I can select the XVL file format. So that's a file that I had saved before. Could have been a 3D Studio or a DWG, or maybe an advanced 3D CAD file format that I used with the add-on of the 3D XVL Studio application. So I open that, and then I get this cursor instantly, and then I can place a rectangular view. And what you see now in a second is, it looks like an image, but it is much more than that. So the file is loading right now. It takes a short while, and there we are. So screen should be updated, and I go to full screen. Okay. As you can see on the right, there is a 3D model inserted in here. Let me zoom in a bit. I hope that this works well with the webcast, as we didn't really try this out before. So with a double click, I'm in that 3D model now, and same as I did in my 3D visualization application XVL Studio before, I can now rotate, zoom in, do things like that to specify the view. I have a perspective view here that's that's appropriate as an overview that I want to include with my technical illustration. I could also switch to one of the other stored views. So for example, let's use that camera. Okay, that was the initial one. I should have named them, which is also an option with the XVL Studio authoring application. But I just want to flip through these presets that I had stored with the XVL file and show you what is possible with that. You can do a few more things, like creating a cross-section in that overview, in that embedded 3D element. For now, let me jump out of it. So you see there's a high resolution preview image of that, and when I move to full screen again, that's part of my file. And if I get to updating that, for example, that 3D file has changed, I have new cameras in there that I can use here, or something has changed in the parts, then I can reload this reference XVL file, and at any time, right mouse click, edit 3D model, or double click into it. I can go back to this editing window and change whatever I want to change to make it look the way I need it. So let me do a bit more obvious change here, and then move out of the editing mode, and there I am with the updated 3D view of my 3D model. As said, these files, the 3D files, are highly compressed, so that makes it easy enough to include, to embed a 3D file. This file right now is referenced, so it's stored externally to be kept up to date outside this illustration. You can also embed an XVL file with your Corel Designer illustration and send it within the file to have everything in one place when you share this with colleagues for further editing or things like that. Okay, let's move back to the main file to show you a few more things. By the way, you have noticed that you're not able to raise questions over your microphone. You're able to raise questions though through the control panel that's on the right side of your screen. Should be there. There is a questions panel in there, and you can raise questions, and we will try to answer as many as possible at the end of this presentation in a few minutes. So let's continue showing you CorelDRAW Technical Suite and the authoring tools. So up to now, I have shown you things how to access, how to repurpose files that have been created by someone else in a design application, 3D modeling application, for example. I want to show you a few of the new features that Corel Designer X6 includes as the core technical illustration application in the package. So let's show you a few of the precision drawing tools that Corel Designer X6 comes with. Corel Designer X6 is a full 2D vector illustration application that has a lot of technical drawing features, and Corel Designer X6 comes with a lot of new features, and I want to show you a few of features that are mentioned here. So let me move to a different file again to show you this with an example from the architectural space. Let me first maybe delete things that I can then recreate to show you how easy and quick you can create, for example, isometric views for your architectural or technical illustration project. What I have here now is I've started a drawing in 2D, or maybe it's originally a CAD file that's done in 2D and I imported that. Now with Corel Designer you can use transform features, transform tools like the project tools, and I use an isometric view here. So let me switch to that isometric view so that the grid shows that a little better, and let me zoom in so that may be a little more clear. One more thing, I want the grid to show as lines and not as dots, so that will make it more obvious what isometric plane we are working in right now. This step would not really be necessary for what I'm doing now, as the next step will be needed for drawing on that plane. But for now I want to project these existing drawing parts to a drawing plane, and I use that front view of my isometric drawing angles. So I project this selected group of objects, and you can see it's stretched, rotated in the right way to follow this projection. It also recognizes scale factors that are used in these isometric views. So that's a Corel Designer feature, not new in Corel Designer X6. It's been there for a while. Also, what I do now is not a new feature, so I can draw in these projected planes, and I just create a few new objects. So let me move this so that I can remove the fill. Okay. And what I want to do as well is to fill this area, and let me do that with the Smart Fill tool, so that recognizes the next edges. Don't be confused by the grid. This is not real objects, that's just guidelines that help you understand the drawing plane you're in. Now, let me show you a few of the Corel Designer X6 new features, because that is something you could do with the previous version as well. What is new in X6 is tools for creating projected shapes. So by now, creating a thread or a well would have been quite complex. You could have used one of the symbols that shows a thread or a well in a certain setting. But now you have tools for creating those the way you want. So with the threads and wells, you have options for specifying radius and length, of course, the pitch, and all settings can be specified in a precise way. In this architectural sample, it's not really about threads or wells. What I want to do here is using the prism tool, and I can do that in the projection plane that I had selected. So it draws a circle, and then in the next step I set the height. I do all that interactively. As you can see at the top, I can also use parameters, coordinates for doing that. And there you go. Done in one step. You have created that object in addition. In the same context of isometric drawings, Corel Designer X6 now provides dimension tools that follow these projected drawing planes. And let me start with the top plane that I'm working in right now. So now in CorelDesign X6 you can assign dimensions to isometric drawing planes. So I should maybe increase the text size a bit so that you can read what is here. Okay, and I also want to use different settings. So do I have a preset here? No, I haven't stored one that fits my needs. So let me change the things like text position and center it. What's wrong here? That's not really centered, I can tell you. So I would like to see it that way. And then let me save this as a preset. Okay, so that I can use it for other dimensions. Now I want to use it for here. Okay, taking it and let me add another one here. So for those who are familiar with previous versions of Corel Designer or other tools, it's typically not possible to do these dimensions in an isometric view. What you see then is that you have a dimension that uses those edges here, okay, and then it's here, so that doesn't tell anybody what this dimension is for. It's quite complex to do this with planar dimension tools. This is really a very valuable improvement for those who want or have to add dimensions to their drawings to add context to it, to make them readable in that context they are created in. As you might have noticed, these dimension values also look quite reasonable, and they are precise. And there's another new option, which is the control for the scale. So in Corel Designer and actually in CorelDRAW as well, you could use drawing scale for a while, but new with Corel Designer X6, you can now really control it from the front of the UI. So there's no need to go into any menus. You have that in front of you as soon as you don't have any object or tool selected, which would determine different properties. So here you can select from preset scales. You can access custom scale dialog to create and store your own drawing scale, and you have always access to this from here, which is very efficient, I think. Okay, so I want to show you a few more things before we end this session today. Let me show you one thing about annotations, callouts, because that's one of the most common things you do with technical illustrations to use a CAD file or some other source file and add really meaning to it and make it a technical illustration that explains the relevant stuff to people. So let me move to a different file again. I use the wind turbine that has a few callouts already so that you can see that. Now, one new thing, you can make your callouts now stick to a specific point or object in the drawing. So I have my imported 3D model here again, and I can move that, and what you see here, only the leader line of that callout is moving, and the callout text is keeping its position. You can change that to make the whole callout follow the source objects, the origins. So that's something that you can specify in here to move the whole callout, or to only move the leader line and the starting point of the leader line. The other new option with Corel Designer X6 is that you can attach callouts to metadata of the object that you are attaching them to. So these objects do have metadata, as you can see here, in that part number and name, which comes from the original object. Now let me go into here. So you see here's the callout data that is selected as being shown, displayed as callout text. I can turn off that field name so that it only shows the value and it's kept updated. So I first update it this way, and then let me go to that part. That's this one, and let me just give it a new name. So look at the callout text here. When I change the name now, it will change the callout text immediately without touching that, and that's of course a very efficient way to maintain technical illustrations with their annotations, with their callouts. And in addition, as shown with the other example file, you can move the drawings around and make the callouts stay in their text position, which helps keeping the layout intact while the drawing may need to be changed, repositioned, and steps like that. Okay, so looking at our time, 8 minutes left for the for this presentation. There is lots of other new things in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. I want to mention a few more. As explained in the beginning of this session, there is a need for maintaining consistency with your layouts, and CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 provides a lot of features that help this. So there is a whole style engine which has been reworked from scratch pretty much compared to previous versions of the product, and you can apply styles, define styles and style sets for all kinds of objects. That includes the halos that you can apply to curves for making diagrams visible so that crossing lines can clearly be identified, or as thrust lines in 3D views in isometric drawings. It includes all the dimension settings that I have shown you a little bit of. And it also includes colors. So you see here on the right, there's an example for use of color harmonies. That's pretty much done. These three color variations is done with one click, basically from here to here, and then another click from here to there, to show these different materials with a different set of colors in these elements. And that's a very quick way, a very efficient way to try out color schemes in illustrations, or in this case to represent different materials, different metal types for these components. The symbol libraries I touched briefly with Corel Connect, and there's also new tools that help creating technical documentation, so beyond a one-page illustration in Corel Designer. As you see in my presentation document, it's a multi-page document. You can create your technical documentation as a, I don't know, maybe 20 pages single manual chapter or things like that with Corel Designer, using master layer functionality to keep elements like the balloon in my presentation on all pages. New with options to create even and odd pages in a different layout to master these tasks for creating multi-page technical documentation. Then for the final step in the workflow, publishing, there's a lot of new features, new capabilities in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. Goes from updated file format support with enhanced web CGM support, including a robust companion file support. We have also enhanced SVG publishing capabilities. There have been a lot of customer requests for automating SVG output, as SVG is used a lot for connecting to translation memory systems or to authoring systems to use SVG as the publishing file format. And now you can use the automation interface in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 to fully automate and configure the SVG outputs so that you can connect to these content management and authoring systems using that file format. Also new with the 3D capabilities in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X5. With the integrated XBL Studio component, you can save XBL files, and there is XBL players for browser as browser plugins, and there's also an app called iXBL that you can use for viewing these XBL files on mobile devices. So there's a lot of options for publishing the technical illustrations and the technical communication pieces that you're authoring with CorelDRAW Technical Suite. All these steps are performed with a high-speed, high-performance application. So we do support 64-bit applications with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. We do also provide a 32-bit level of the components, so don't worry if you are working on a 32-bit operating system, that is still supported. But especially for handling 3D files and also handling complex files with many components in your technical illustrations, 64-bit application support really makes a difference when it comes to processing time, but first and foremost the capabilities of processing very large files efficiently with a 64-bit operating system and now these 64-bit applications. So as a wrap-up, CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 contains a lot of components. I have only presented a small subset of the components to you today, as I am focusing on the technical illustration workflow, which Corel Designer as the core component and XBL Studio 3D Corel Edition as the 3D component are really the unique applications for doing this. Besides that, beyond that, the full CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6 is included with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. And for those users who do already own CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6, we have a special offer with the CorelDRAW Technical Pack, which adds the applications Corel Designer, XBL Studio 3D, the XBL Player support, and everything that you don't have with CorelDRAW Graphics Suite yet, and that CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 has on top. There is the optional add-on XBL Studio 3D CAD Corel Edition. You can try that out with the trial version of CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, and that actually takes me to the final page. So we have various offerings available for you if you're using the Corel tools already. So you can get a discounted upgrade pricing if you're a Corel Designer Technical Suite X4 or X5 user. As said, for CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6 users, there is the CorelDRAW Technical Pack available, of course, also at a reduced price, so that you only add what you miss by now and not add the full package, the full suite of CorelDRAW applications once again, as you have that already. XVL Studio 3D CAD Corel Edition is available as an optional add-on, but again, for existing customers that are using the previous version of Corel Designer Technical Suite X6 with its 3D CAD add-on Deep Exploration CCE, we also offer an upgrade pricing for these customers to get to the latest 3D CAD file repurposing tool that we offer with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6. That is an add-on, which means you first need CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 or CorelDRAW Technical Pack on top of CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6, and then you can activate that XVL Studio 3D CAD Corel Edition add-on in your CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 installation. You can try out all this and a lot more that I couldn't present to you today, as we are running out of time. Go to our website, corel.com/technicalsuite. That will show up in your local language, and you can download the trial version of CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6, or if you own CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6, download the Tech Pack, the CorelDRAW Technical Pack, and then you can try out all the features for 30 days. One last note, the trial version of the CorelDRAW Technical Suite and the Technical Pack include the advanced level add-ons, so you can try out the full 3D CAD file format support. Please note the detailed information on the differences between the integrated XVL Studio component and the XVL Studio 3D CAD add-on to get a good understanding of what is integrated and what is an exclusive feature of the add-on, which is optional.